even the banks need help.
If you will get out of this recession, the model that even government policy has happened in the past must be totally and fully radicalized, brought to a place where the end game is how do we reflate the system. If the insurance companies are going to utilize the platform of the banks to grow the insurance industry, what's the problem? You can sit down with your regulator, CBN and NICOM, sit down and craft something that will be both that will work for both the banks and the insurance companies. And so that's the key thing, that the government, the practitioners and the government people must work as different sides of the same coin. Government is an enabler, and it must not be lost on them. You're not just a taskmaster taking fines. You must ask the banks, what best can we do to enable you, assist us to reflect? If the banks go bonkers, this system will go south faster than you're talking about.
Business operators in the tourism sector say the solution lies inward.
We've been out there. We've seen a lot of people out there who are so desirous of coming into Nigeria. Because they hear of, so when they sit down with me and I tell them things, they ask me, why don't we hear about this? I was at the Africa Business Roundtable in Dallas a few years back, and I was opportuned to speak about tourism in Nigeria. We had different people who could talk about different sectors of the economy, and and for a lot of our Americans out there, it was like news to them because this was not what they heard on the news. And when I spoke to them about Nigeria on tourism, they're asking me, so why don't you people talk about this? You mean this? I said, yes. And they said, you mean you can put this together for us? I said, yes. I said, can we come? I said, yes. And I put it together for them. So that's what I'm trying to say. You see, we need to start to tell our own story. We need to start to tell our own story, and it must start from the top. Because as NATOP, we are prepared to run with this. It's a lot of work. It needs a lot of resource. It needs a lot of support. It needs a lot of collaboration. It needs a lot of partnership. But we've seen that this is where the gold is.
But even with these strategies in place, economist Bismarck Riwani says there's a process and timing before the dark days are over.
The reality is that this recession is going to take you at least 12 to 18 months to get out of, right? And that is what we call a U-curve. Now, to do this, we need to, first and foremost, we must inject money into the system. And President Buhari has said it. You can see he's now fully engaged. He's coming out and talking about every issue, right? The Vice President is also coming out. So the executive is fully engaged. You can't hide in this. You can't blame the past administration. You have to deal with the current problems as you have it. Given the fall in oil revenues, you have to increase the deficit plan for the recovery. You must borrow, and the president has said we're going to borrow at least $5 billion externally. We must sell some assets. When you're in this kind of situation, you have to sell assets. We will issue monies from the Eurobond on the 19th of September. The federal government would have the proposals from the advisors. They'll pick advisors, 2 advisors to advise them on this. You have to look at the minimum wage and the social intervention program.
And the president says he is aware of the challenges and solutions are on the way.
And I assure you, we are going to get out of this our economic doldrums. We are almost out of our insecurity problem. And we are going to make Nigeria great again. We are going to be very proud of our country once more. And our size, our resources will not be for nothing. We will continue to lead.
The president has promised better days ahead, even though the economy looks cloudy now. But according to some views expressed on this episode of Big Story, brighter days can come faster if Nigerians consciously work towards it by buying and patronizing Nigerian products. Are you buying Nigerian? Let's get your perspective on Big Story. I'm Ine Thompson.